Hello and thank you for watching this video. My name is John Harvey with National Benefit Services, or NBS for short. The purpose of this video is to educate how NBS requires your payroll contributions to be sent to us in order to process quickly and reduce human error. You may have received several attachments regarding payroll contributions from us during the implementation process. If you are watching this video without those attachments, you will still benefit from learning how the process works. However, you will better understand the things I'm about to talk about if you have these to refer to. Let's start with the Excel attachment, which is called General Sample Census. And I'm going to pull that up here on the screen. This is the form that for every single payroll that you are going to send us contributions, you'll need to fill out this form and then upload it to our website. We'll talk about how to upload this file later, but for now, let's go into the information on the General Sample Census. Up at the top, before you potentially can edit anything, if you see this yellow line that says Enable Editing, you'll need to click on that, just as I have there, so that way you can type into it and use it. And the first line here, you'll want to put the employer name. So I'm going to actually just put here ABC Company, and that's what you'll end up doing. You'll put the employer name that we have on file. The second row down here is the employer plan type. You may have several retirement plans, especially that those that NBS is administering as third-party administrator. You'll put all of those plans here, which is going to be all included in this file down below. So if we are administering a 403, 457B, and a FICA alternative plan with you, if we're working on those businesses, those retirement plans together, then put them here. If there's other things that are not non-ERISA retirement, such as 401k or FSAs or HSAs or any of those things that are coming into NBS, those need to stay separate and go into their respective businesses, and your implementation specialist in that area will give you information on the format that their business area needs it in. But for non-ERISA retirement, this is what you'll be putting all of that information. Last row up here is the payroll date. I've been asked many times what date this should be. Always put the exact payroll date that you are submitting for. This is so that we can keep track of the actual payroll down the line if we ever have to come back to it and refer to it, rather than some arbitrary date because you did it on the 15th, 2 weeks late, and it should have been in on the 31st of the previous month. So always put the payroll date so that we can actually refer to something more concrete than just a random date, 5 years from now. Down below, you'll see all of this information. These first several columns are pretty self-explanatory. This is demographic information, starting with social security number of the participant, the last name, first name, date of birth, date of hire, their address, city, state, zip code, and email address. All of this information is very important for us to have, so that when the participant is submitting any type of distribution request or any such type of request into us for their retirement accounts, if we already have their demographic information on file, we won't have to reach out to you, the employer, constantly to get this information. So if you can get this for us, it helps us out. Also, ideally, we want to have every single eligible employee that can participate in this plan. All that are eligible to participate. Ideally, we get that information, even if they're not active. However, with that being said, we're not trying to give you hours and hours and hours of work. But if that's just something that just can't be done right off, no big deal, it's fine. We at least need the active participants at this time, and then maybe as you go, put in the other eligible employees for us to have on in our system as well. The next column is the pay period contribution. This is the amount that you are sending on behalf of the participant. If you are only sending in payrolls once a month, however your payroll schedule is actually bi-weekly, then you'll put the full amount for the month in here. So let's do an example. Let's say Johnny is sending in $100 per pay period, which he's a biweekly employee on a biweekly schedule. So that's 100 twice a month virtually. You'll end up putting 200 in that cell for Johnny because it's two payrolls, two biweekly payrolls at 100 each, and you're only going to be sending it in monthly. You're sending it in, you want to put the grand total of 200. That's how much money we are expecting for this participant. Okay. Next column is the investment provider. You'll want to list the investment provider, where the money is actually going, where the participant has an open account, and where MBS should be forwarding the funds to be booked for the participant. Now, if you're an employer that only has one investment provider, that's easy, that's great. It's just ABC investment all the way down. Okay, but say you are an employer that has multiple investment providers options for the participants. You'll want to designate each one of those, and I'm not going to use real investment provider names just to not favor one over another or anything there. So we're just going to use ABC investment. Say this person is sending it to CBA investment, and this one is XYZ investment. So these are three different investment providers that you need to have clearly stated so that we know and we can forward it on to the right place. The worst thing that we can do is be sending it to the wrong place or not know who these investment providers are, and it delays the participants' retirement funds to be booked, however long it takes to figure that out. Also, hopefully you have already sent all of this information, all of your active investment providers, to your implementation specialist so that they can ahead of time reach out to each investment provider, let them know that MBS is now your TPA, and have everything arranged before we even receive this payroll. If we receive the payroll first and we have no information on the investment providers, some of them is a lengthy process to get that all updated, and no funds can be booked until MBS is updated, because they won't accept those funds from us because we're not listed as TPA. So please, hopefully you've already reached out and sent us all of these active investment providers so that we can have everything ready to go before your payroll even arrives. Next column here is the money type column. Here you'll want to you'll be putting what type of fund it is, whether it's 403B or 457, whether it's pre-tax or Roth. Pre-tax, and forgive me if you already know this, but I just want to be clear. Pre-tax contributions are the contribution amount. So Johnny's 200 comes out of his pay first, and then taxes gets calculated from the rest of the total. When it's Roth, it's a post-tax amount, and I'm just going to put an amount here just to have one there. That means $100, taxes is calculated on the whole of the payroll. After taxes are calculated and removed from the participant's paycheck, then the $100 comes out. And that's why it's a post-tax and Roth. There's different rules with Roth than there is with pre-tax and 457 pre-tax. We want to make sure that these lines are very clear on what you are sending. So if you click down below here on the tab down here, employer instructions, there's a few more examples, like maybe you have 403B employer contributions, maybe you have a match, and different things. Just whatever it is, just make sure that this is clear so that we can put it in the right spot. Each of these funds go into different buckets at the investment provider, and if we're trying to put Johnny's $200 into a Roth bucket at CBA Investment or even ABC Investment, 200 in a Roth, ABC is going to come back and say, Johnny does not have a Roth account. We cannot book these funds. Please advise. So we want to make sure that everything is correct, and this should all be in your payroll software and reflected on a W-2. So make sure that these are clear. And lastly on this column is your year-to-date contributions. It's best practice if we have you continually keep this year-to-date contribution up. This is another layer of security to make sure that you and us here at MBS has another look at people's maximum allowable contribution limits and make sure that they're not going over. So this year to date, especially as you get towards the end of the year, is very important to make sure it's up to date, because we don't want to deal with corrections and payroll corrections and W-2 corrections and fines and all of that with the IRS. So make sure that this stays up to date so that you have it. Also, hopefully your software also is another barrier that doesn't allow that, your payroll software that is, and here in our systems as well helps with that. But when we get plans in the middle of the year, or towards the end of the year, we want to make sure we may not have all the information, and we're limited in doing keeping track of this, especially towards the end of the year if we're starting a new plan. So keep that in mind, keep that going. One last nuance that I want to make sure that you understand is that each line has to be one participant, one money type, one source. So let's say all of these is the same person, since we got L name and F name here. This is the same exact person, same birth date, same hire date, all of this information is the same. And so this is the same person. And this person has $200 of 403B pre-tax, so $100 of 403B Roth, and just to make things calculated there, $50 on a 457 pre-tax. You cannot put all three of these things all on one column just because it all belongs to F name, L name. You have to separate them just like this: one source, one money type, one line. One money type, one line, one money type, one line. So this one person has three different lines, and then the next person would be here, and then this is their amount. They're going to a different, or they're going to whatever investment provider, and maybe it's 403B Roth. Okay, so just make sure each person has a separate line per money type. Okay. All right. So now that you have your form all filled out, everything's good. You've got it saved. Then you need to upload it into our system online. Okay, so this is the instructions for secure upload that you have. I'm going to show limited amount of this file just for security purposes. But virtually, you're going to go to www.mbsbenefits.com. Right in the upper top corner, you're going to see secure upload. You'll click on that secure upload and you'll start to see this stuff here that you can see in our instructions. Now to go a little bit further into it, I'm actually going to pull up the website right here. You click on that secure upload. Alright, and you've got client name. This is the employer name that we have on file so that we can connect the detail with the right plan that we have set up. So if you're using a different name but our plan name is completely different that we have on file, then we need to make sure we have a discussion so we can make those connections so that when you put what the correct name on here, whatever it may be, that it goes to the right place. Then you have the sender's name. This is you. The sender's email. This is your email. This is so that once you actually submit this file, you will get an email confirmation back saying that we have received it. Then you click on this down arrow for the department. You can see that you can choose several different departments, and you actually might be using one or more of these departments, business areas, because we're doing several areas of business with you. But in this regard, you're going to be choosing the 403B, 457 non-ERISA. Okay. Work type, you can also see again there's several different things that you could potentially be sending in, and it just kind of already labels it and it puts it in certain channels for us to get to it. But in this case, again, we're working on a contribution file, so you'll click on that. Plan year end date. For most of you, it's always going to be the last day of the year, so 12/31 and the current year. If you're not quite sure or whatnot, this is schools included. I know that schools are out in June, but for the most part we do the plan year December 31st. If you're not sure, go ahead and just ask your implementation specialist or your relationship manager and we can let you know. If you put this in incorrectly, don't worry, it's not going to break anything. It's fine, it'll still get to us. So, but for the most part, 12/31 is the plan year end date. And contribution date, again, we're using the payroll date. So say today is the 19th, but payroll ends on the 20th. Click the 20th. If that coincides with your actual payroll date, that's what you want to be showing. Now this is where you will put your file. You have two options on putting in here. If you already have the window open where the file is saved and you can see it, you can go over to that window, say it's right here. You can click, drag it over and release it in this box and it will upload there. Or what you can do is just click on this arrow here. See how it highlights and allows you to click. So you can click on this arrow. It will pull up a window and then you can find where the file is saved in your system and upload it from there. Save it from there. It'll say that it's uploaded. And then last thing is you will have a secure password. And it's secure, so I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to show you, but you should have this information in the attachments that we have sent, and or if you have not, you should let us know. We can go over that, but let's not tell everybody about this password to protect you and everybody else's information here at MBS. Okay, so that's how you would send. Last thing, now that we've got the detail, we know what you're going to send, we actually need the funds. And so here's the last instructions, the last attachment you should get. And again, for security purposes, I'm not going to show a whole lot of this, but you should already have this form and attachment. So we need the funds. You have options to send it by check. You have an option to send it by ACH or a wire. ACH has a couple of methods. You can ACH push it to to us, and that information is on here, or you can ACH pull, have that done. Basically, once we receive the detail, an ACH pull setup means that we treat the detail as money, and we fill out another separate form with your accounts, and we pull the money from the account. That requires more signatures, your accounts to be submitted to MBS in a secure manner and dealt with that way. But just to show this, if you're going to send a check, you can send it. It's best to send it to our PO box, but if you're going to send it like overnight, that requires a signature. Here's this address that you can send it to directly to have a signature if you're going to do it that way. So other than that, that is all the training that you should need in order to send us contributions for your non-ERISA plan. If you have any questions other that were not answered in this video, please reach out to your implementation specialist. We're always here to help. If you're already been introduced to your relationship manager, they're also always there to help you as well. Reach out to us. That's what we're here for. We're here to be your TPA. This is what we do. This is our specialty. So please let us help you take care of your business and your participants. Other than that, thank you for watching, and you have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.